Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. My name is Crimson, and in this video, this is going to be part 2 of my Nendoroid collection video. Part 1 was uploaded at the time of recording this, about 3 weeks ago, so I'm not exactly sure when this is going to be going up. However, I just thought that this would be a good video to kind of put out in between some of the art book videos. So nothing too much to say in the intro, so let's just go ahead and begin. So we are going to start off with Chica from Love is War. I really like this manga. I haven't read all of it. I'm about maybe 3/4 of the way through the manga, but yeah, it's really good if you like that genre of manga. The reason I got Chica as opposed to any other character is because I've seen loads of memes of her and stuff, and I just find that they're really funny. So I thought that if I had to get a Nendoroid from the show, I would get the one that makes me laugh the most, even if it's not necessarily to do with the show. Next up is Toru from Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid. This show is actually one of the shows that first got me into anime. I had been a manga reader for a very long time and still am. However, I don't really watch that much anime, but a friend told me that despite both of us having read the manga, that I should check out the show. So I did, and I absolutely loved it. It's peak slice of life, and I think slice of life is the best genre of anime. Next up, speaking of Dragon Maid, we have Miss Kobayashi herself. So, really cool Nendoroid. I like the expression on her face. I think she's very, very cool. It is funny, because someone pointed it out online, and now I can see it, how much Kobayashi looks like Makima from Chainsaw Man. And ever since that, I just thought it was the funniest thing ever. So, yeah, not too much else to say. I just think she's a cool character, and when I saw that she had a Nendoroid, I had to buy her. Next up is Aqua from Konosuba. Konosuba, again, is one of the few animes I watched along with reading the manga, just because personally I find comedy anime much more funnier than comedy manga, even if it's the same series. Just hearing the voice actors talk is much funnier than reading the text off the page, even if it is the same lines. So Aqua is probably my favorite character in Konosuba. She's absolutely useless and an alcoholic, and I love her for that. So yeah, and she comes with her cool staff as an accessory, so I think it's a really good Nendoroid. Next up, we have our first video game Nendoroid for this episode, and that is the Hollow Knight. Hollow Knight is one of my favorite games of all time, and probably my favorite indie game, period. I adore that game. I adore the world, I adore the art style, I adore the combat. I think it's great. And actually, while we're on the subject of Hollow Knight, I actually just bought the Hollow Knight Wanderer's Journal, which is essentially the Hollow Knight art book, so at some point that will be covered on the channel too. Hollow Knight, unfortunately, I had to buy on eBay, and he cost quite a lot, but I think it was worth it. And he has his little nail and his cape and everything. I don't know, I think Hollow Knight is pretty cute. Next up is our third Nendoroid in this series from Chainsaw Man, and that is Miss Power. So Power is a fan favorite in Chainsaw Man community. She's one of my favorite characters. Not my favorite, but she is really, really funny. I'm not gonna go into spoilers on Chainsaw Man or anything, but yeah, I absolutely adore Power, and her dynamic with Denji and Aki is brilliant. The anime actually did a really good job of capturing Power, because that was one of my concerns about it, was would they get kind of her craziness right, and they did so far, but the manga is still superior, in my opinion. Okay, let's see who's next. Next up, from another video game, we have Cliff from Death Stranding, played by Mads Mikkelsen. Mads Mikkelsen is one of my favorite actors, and Death Stranding is a game that I adore. I actually have a Death Stranding tattoo. I'm not going to put a picture up, but yeah, and in Death Stranding, Cliff is my favorite character. I know a lot of people are very mixed on Death Stranding. It's one of those games that you either love it or you hate it, and I love it. I cannot wait for Death Stranding 2, and I also cannot wait to cover the Death Stranding art book on the channel. So he has his vest, he has the black goo around his eyes. Very cool Nendoroid. Next up is a Nendoroid that cost me a lot to acquire because I had to buy him on eBay, and he is a very difficult Nendoroid to get your hands on, and that is Dante from Devil May Cry 5. This model is specifically of the DMC5 Dante. I have him here with his sword in his left hand, and in his right hand is his pistol, Ivory. I believe this is Ivory. His two pistols' names are Ivory and Ebony, and I believe that this is Ivory I have him with here. But yeah, super cool Nendoroid. However, very, very expensive. But I'm still glad I got him. He is probably one of the most expensive Nendoroids that I have bought, but I think it's worth it anyway. Next up, from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, is Jotaro from the Stardust Crusaders. I'm not the biggest JoJo fan. I haven't watched the anime, and I've read the manga. I got up to Stardust Crusaders and I finished it, but after that I kind of lost interest in the series. It's not bad by any means, it's just not for me. I really enjoyed part 1 and part 2, and then the whole thing with the stands became introduced and I just started to slowly lose interest. Personally, I think part 2 is peak JoJo, but that's just me. Anyway, as far as the Nendoroid goes, super high detail. He has his hat, he has the attitude, and yeah, really, really glad that I got this guy. Next, and while we were on the subject of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, we have Dio Brando. So Dio is the main antagonist in JoJo, until Stardust Crusaders at least. I'm not sure if he plays a part in any of the other parts, just because I haven't read or watched them. But yeah, Dio is a vampire who essentially hates the entire JoJo bloodline. And yeah, he's just an evil guy, but his Nendoroid is absolutely amazing. You have his spiky hair, You have his evil grin, you have his arms crossed. Absolutely great Nendoroid, and I think having him and Jotaro together make for a good pairing as far as Nendoroids go. Next up, we have Aon Jagger from Attack on Titan. I absolutely adore Attack on Titan. I read the manga first and then I watched the anime, and I think Attack on Titan is one of, if not, in my opinion, a case where the show is much, much better than the manga. I absolutely love the anime. The manga is great too, don't get me wrong, it's an absolutely incredible read, but as far as I'm concerned, the show is where it's at. So this is obviously Evan, as he is much older, much more depressed and kind of melancholic, as opposed to his old, cheerful, youthful self. But who can blame the guy, right? Next up, we have Rebecca from Cyberpunk Edgerunners. I really like Cyberpunk Edgerunners. I think it is an incredible anime. I really hope they do a season 2. It is great, the music is great, the action's great, the characters are great, everything about it is just peak. I'm also a really big Cyberpunk 2077 fan, and I actually enjoyed the anime more than I enjoyed the game, and I think that's the case for a lot of people too. So I have her here with 2 of her guns, as she is kind of the gun nut of the gang, or at least the one who always carries the biggest guns, which is funny seeing as how she's tiny in the show. Next up, we have Hitori, aka Baki from Baki the Rock. I love this show to bits. I actually just finished rewatching Baki last night, and it is such a good show. It's not often that an anime actually makes me laugh out loud, but Baki the Rock does. She is a character that I relate to so much, some might even say a bit too much, because she is exactly like I am in real life. But yeah, actually no, not exactly like me in real life. I would say I'm closer to Rio, loner versus lonely, but I have her here with her guitar. I just thought it was the most appropriate, and it actually has a strap that goes around her, which is pretty cool, so that's why it's not in her hands at the moment. Next up is a Nendoroid that I do not have the base for. I think I mentioned that in part 1, that I have lost some of the bases. They did come with bases, I just misplaced them because I am stupid. So, this is going to be our 4th Chainsaw Man character, and that is Denji. He is the titular Chainsaw Man. I have him here paired with, the 2 chainsaws coming out of his arms. I was surprised how many options the Denji Nendoroid came with, especially for his head. His head has an option to have the actual Chainsaw Man head on, but I just thought that having Denji with the chainsaws would be like a good mixture of both. So yeah. Next up is another Nendoroid without a base, and the last baseless Nendoroid for this video, and that is Yuri from Aon. I watched Aon when I was growing up, and I adore it. I haven't watched it lately. I'm not even sure if there's a manga for it. I watched the anime, and it's really, really good. It is one of the best slice of life mangas out there, or sorry, animes out there. And yeah, I just thought that it was really cool, and in my collection of Nendoroids, seeing as it's one of my favorite shows, I had to get someone from Aon. So yeah. Next up, we have Solid Snake from Metal Gear Solid. This is Snake from Metal Gear Solid 1. He is really, really cool. He comes with a bunch of accessories. I used to have him with the gun equipped in his right hand. However, I cannot get the gun to stay in for the life of me. So I just have him holding up 2 fingers. But yeah, I was surprised how many accessories he came with, and his box for his Nendoroid was huge, which kind of surprised me. What is really interesting about the Snake Nendoroid is if you're familiar with Nendoroids, you know they come with about 2 or 3 additional faces that you can put on. One of the faces for Snake is like the PS1 era graphics, like his face as it appears in the game, which I thought is really cool. Personally, I prefer the standard Nendoroid look, but it's just a cool option to have if that's something that you are interested in. Next up, we have Rem from RE0. This is another case where I have watched the show or the anime but have not read the manga, and yeah, it's pretty good. Not my favorite, but it is good, and Rem is one of, if not my favorite characters of the series. So yeah, pretty cool Nendoroid. It comes with a bunch of different accessories, face options, hair options, but I like her pose like this. I just think it captures her character from the show. And our last Nendoroid for this video is going to be Solaire of Astora from Dark Souls, specifically Dark Souls 1. So I have him here, just holding his shield. He was holding a sword at one point, however I cannot find the sword anymore. So I might switch him over to the Praise the Sun arms, because the Nendoroid did come with those. As a massive Dark Souls fan, I had to get someone from Dark Souls, and when I saw that Solaire was an option, I bought him instantly. He is actually not the only Dark Souls Nendoroid that I have, but yeah, I think it's really cool, and he has the feather on top of his hat, or his helmet. I almost said his hat. Sorry about that. So yeah, that is the end of this video. That's part 2 of my Nendoroid collection. Part 3 might take a little bit longer to come out, as I have some Nendoroids that I have bought and pre-ordered that I would like to wait for them to arrive a bit, so I can kind of keep all the videos the same length. As of now, the last Nendoroid that I ordered was Makima from Chainsaw Man. She's currently on her way, she has been shipped, whereas other Nendoroids such as Sekiro from Sekiro, Pyramid Head from Silent Hill, and Griffith from Berserk are all on pre-order, and I think they are being released sometime in early summer, so I'm not sure. I might make part 3 when Makima arrives, and then as I buy more Nendoroids, make a part 4 if I end up ever getting enough. But yeah, that is the end of this video. Thank you for watching, and if you are listening to this video while relaxing or laying down, this is the end of the video, so I would click off now so that the ad, if anything, plays at the end of the video, wakes you up, I don't want that to happen. So again, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the Nendoroids, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.